everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. And this is the Old School Wrestling Review, and we'll be reviewing World Championship Wrestling from Saturday, April 27th, 1985. Guys, I thought this, out of the 4 shows that they did once they took over the WWF time slot, I thought this was one of the better shows.
Well, you know, considering after you come from WWF, they were all stellar shows. So
that is correct.
But yeah, it was a great show.
By the way, my name is Brett West. Jack Lord and Rodney West will be your panel as we look at World Championship Wrestling Saturday, April. Was it April 25th or 27th?
27th.
27th, 1985.
This was in stereo. We're available.
We're available. Make sure you know we're available. All right, let's start this show out. And again, started with a hot opening. Manny Fernandez, the Raging Bull, coming off of, was it the second rope or top rope? With that flying
I think it was top rope. I think it was top rope.
And he was hitting, I believe that was Tommy Lane of the Rock and Roll RPMs, wasn't it?
That is correct. So. Yes, it was.
He gave that was a very impressive move. If we got to see it go completely out, but he stopped midstream in there. They love the freeze framing during this time period. That must have been the end thing to do. Right after that, Tony Schiavone and Davey. I always call him Davey Crockett.
Davey Crockett was a Disney show. David Crockett was the son of Jim Crockett Sr., brother of Jim Crockett Jr. And the announcer also was a wrestler. I want to see this. I got to see him wrestle one day. I got to see that.
I've heard him announce. I don't think I want to see him wrestle.
I might enjoy that. He might get beat up really good.
Just kidding, Dave.
Right after that, the first match was the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Ole and Arn Anderson against Gerald Finley and the Italian Stallion Gary Cortinelli. Rodney?
Yes. Come up. Did you freeze? I know. I would only come off the top rope, and this time they didn't make the illegal tag in there. Ole just went for the arm bar. He put Gerald Finley out with the submission there. Typical Andersons, and they really have. It's taken 4 weeks, but they have arrived. Ole and Arn now have arrived, and they're ready. And I think everybody's ready for the match with he and Thunderbolt.
Have you noticed? Arn don't ever get to come off the top rope. Have you noticed that, Jack?
There's
I don't think he complained about that very much either. So.
I don't think Ole wanted him to come off the top rope because if that's not done correctly, that could hurt somebody really bad.
This Gene did not come off the top rope either. So that was the roles. That was this role.
I'm gathering Lars Anderson might have done that when Lars and Gene was teaming together. I don't know that I ever saw them team with each other.
I never saw them any tapes of them either.
All right, Jack. Right after that, the one-man gang, the Hands of Stone, Rugged. I'm gonna tell you what, this man had a lot of names.
Well, he was just the man with the hands of stone, Ron Garvin.
Even then, he had been around a while, so he'd picked up a lot of gimmicks along the way.
What did you think about his interview, Jack?
I always liked Ronnie Garvin's interview. They were to the point. He never got really carried away. I think he delivered himself well. And, he was as solid in the ring as anybody you could ask for.
During this interview, he talked about Tully Blanchard. So I guess Tully Blanchard and Ron Garvin was going to wrestle each other. He also talked about Bob Roop during this interview. So I'm gathering they were going to wrestle each other because I think the Bob Roop came from the Ole's. I think they were just maybe just finishing up Bob Roop and Ron Garvin.
Yeah.
Rodney, what did you think? Ron Garvin interview.
Always great. And it was good to see some of those wrestlers back on, especially Ronnie Garvin. And later on, we'll see some of the others. We have Scott Irwin that's going to be on later. So it was good to see some of the other wrestlers coming back on the show.
Right after the commercial break, one of my favorite people of all time, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. He says he went to the San Diego Zoo. Let me tell you something, baby. I went to the zoo and I picked me up a gorilla. And he said that he come over there. What was the cage's name?
Betty Lou.
Betty Lou.
Now he called her baby doll once. You didn't see that? He called her baby. That's not baby doll. That's Betty Lou. Talking to me. Yeah.
And he says he's going to bring a gorilla.
Gorilla.
You're
going to bring a gorilla there.
Next week on World Championship Wrestling to go against RRB, because he said Nikita was a gorilla, and Ivan Koloff was training a gorilla. It's just tremendous stuff. And he said that now one time I thought he said that Baby Doll was in that cage at some point.
He did say that.
Okay, so
last time, because he called her Baby Doll. He said, no, Baby Doll been in this cage before. That's what he said.
I thought it was great. He said they're going to have to deal with the gorilla.
That's right.
Good. That was great stuff. Did y'all like that?
Yeah, this was good stuff, and it's leading up to the big match, the Omni, and yeah, it's awesome. Richard already knows the ending already. He remembers what it was.
It was good stuff.
And it was awesome. It
was an awesome thing. So we'll talk about that on the next episode. Then we have the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez against Doug Vines. I believe he teamed with Doug Summers at some point, didn't he? In the AWA?
I believe so.
They were a tag team in AWA. That was a pretty good match. He did the whip. He did that flying forearm thing he did. Did you see that, Jack? That finish he used in that match, that was tremendous way he did that.
Yeah.
He did a twist or something in that thing. It was incredible. And then they showed it in the replay, because I thought he missed him. But they showed it in the replay in slow motion, and bam, he really connected with that thing on Doug Vines.
Yeah, he didn't care to connect.
I was like, man, I thought,
the drop down in that was awesome. How he did the drop down, and then he comes back up to the double chop. Yeah, it was pretty good.
The announcers called it. I noticed that either David Crockett, that I keep on calling him Davey Crockett here today.
Well, just go right ahead.
We should just call him Daniel Boone. I don't know why I call him Davey Crockett. But anyway, David Crockett, one of those said it was a double thrust with a side body block. Would that be what that was?
They were trying to describe it, and so it's just to me, it's just the double chops.
It looks like this a flying forearm.
I don't know that if he was going to name anything, it would be watch this.
No, Christopher, we're not calling it that. You can forget that, Christopher. Nope. Trying to get us in trouble.
I do miss the days when every move didn't have to have a name.
That's right.
You could just describe the exactly what they did.
All right, Jack. Next, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Talk about that.
Well, just Ric Flair being Ric Flair. You just don't get better than Rick. I watched this 2 days ago, so I can't remember exactly what all he was talking about in this interview.
Well, one of the things he talked about his cousins, the Andersons, that they were going to be the next NWA National Tag Team Champions, that he knew it for certain. He probably was in the booking meeting. He knew that they were going to put the titles on them. And he said he also was talking about a lot of people in this interview. Here's the people he talked about: Kerry Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, Manny Fernandez, Bob Armstrong was talked about on this one. And it was a good interview. And I think, did he not have a white suit on this?
I believe it was.
I believe so, yes, because he was wearing it throughout the show. Yeah,
that suit was tremendous.
It's awesome. Yeah, he had some good. He had some good clothing there. What did he say? What did he say? You can get one of those. Tell TA you can get one of those down at such and such place. Would have paid about $1,200 for it.
But he was with the 10 pounds of gold. One of the most, I would say, probably one of the most recognizable belts ever.
Yeah.
I've never liked the other belt. I always liked the 10 pounds of gold with the globe on it.
Well, the story was that he wanted that changed over after he had a match with, I believe, Nick Botwinkle, and saw how much bigger their world title was compared to the traditional belt, and he wanted a bigger belt.
Well, I always liked that belt. That belt was, I just thought that belt was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. To me, that is and I'm glad, little short plug here with the NWA that's been coming back. They went back to that belt, and it's iconic.
And it's bigger. It's bigger than that one.
Yeah.
That belt, the new belt is bigger than that one, which they should have just redesigned it to make the same design but bigger. But also at the same time, let's be honest, the national belt, the national tag team belts, the Mid-South tag team belts, the United States belt all had the same design, which should have been a no-no. Even Jimmy Crockett should have said, no, we're not doing that design because it looks too much like the world title. But, they had it. I mean, everybody had that design.
Yeah, well, Reggie Parks had that thing done up, so everybody used it, so they didn't have to pay for a new one. Escape promoters.
Just change the names.
All right, then we got Bob Roop against the Golden Terror. Who's the Golden Terror? Anybody know?
He was the guy in the gold mask. Bob Roop was the guy in the long black tights.
I realized that. I just thought somebody might know who that was under the mask.
Well, sometimes you're confused, and we want to clear you up on exactly which wrestler's which. And actually, Bob Roop wins with the shoulder breaker in that one. It's a very big surprise on that.
But, let me tell you, this is the problem I had. And I thought Bob Roop in this match, I thought it was great the way he worked the arm. And then he worked it throughout the whole. And when he picked the guy up and he was holding like that and then went and rammed his shoulder into the turnbuckle, I thought that was brilliant.
And did you see the frat guys behind him over his shoulder when he did it? When he did the move, they went, oh. Did you check him out?
Yeah.
Check him out next time. The frat guys were sitting on that side there.
But, I thought I thought the match was tremendous, put together well, told a story. But I don't think he should have worked on the arm because the Anderson had just done it. That was the only thing I saw about it that I thought, I would have probably told him to work on the back or something. Great match, though. I was impressed, again, at those times.
If your finish is the shoulder breaker, you wouldn't work on the back and then hit him with the shoulder breaker.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, he wouldn't have told the story. I'm just saying. I would have probably told him, let's go a different route. But, hey, that's just me. All right, then, Rodney, Ivan, and Nikita Koloff.
Yeah, Koloff. Ivan's doing a good job here. He's talking about the gorilla and calling people gorillas. And he tells the whole story. When he's talking in that accent, he tells the entire story of everything that they're doing with Jimmy Valiant and Buzz Sawyer. He tells the entire story before Nikita. And all Nikita does is he needs that little few minutes to get his thing. But Ivan's the one telling the story, and he does a great job of it.
All right, Jack. Then Tully Blanchard with Baby Doll against someone that we saw not long ago, Lee Ramsey. What did you think about this match?
As always, Tully could that proverbial work a broom and make a broom look good, and he did that here. And again, nails that finish. It's so believable the way he does it. I've heard guys talk about recently about how that wasn't a convincing finish in their opinion, but to me, it was legitimate. I mean, he pulled it off. It was always good looking. I liked it. Good match.
Yeah, I thought, the only thing I thought about Lee Ramsey is when he was in, and maybe Tully told him to do that, when he would give him an arm drag or something, Lee Ramsey would beat him up every time. And I was thinking, man, you might want to sell that just a little bit before you before you just jump up like it didn't even do nothing to you. But that's the only thing I saw in the match, because the match itself was a great wrestling match. Good chain wrestling. He hit at one point. Blanchard got him in a face a front face lock, and what's his name tried to attempt to get out of it, and when he did, what's his name just dropped back, rolled him up 1-2, and I mean the match was just a great pro wrestling match, and Tully Blanchard is going to show you what professional wrestling is all about. I miss matches like that because it just told a great story. Then here we go. And evidently, this is a non-title NWA National Heavyweight Championship match. Ron Garvin went against George South. This match was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
This match, I love this match. It was everything. I wrote down everything, not everything that happened in it, but I wrote down a lot of it. A lot of near pins in this match on both sides. You know, Ronnie Garvin was putting him over really good. This is what I liked. At one point, Garvin looks to attempt a suplex, but he turns it into a small package on George South and the 1-2 count. That was spectacular. At one point, he hip tosses South, and he comes back, and Garvin gives him 2 running tackles in this match that looked tremendous. You know, there was knees in it, hip tosses, and everything by George South. At one point, Garvin sits right on his face. He does that little bombs away thing he did. Sits right back on his face. But the gut wrench suplex into the standing splash for the 3 count, I thought was just tremendous. What a finish that was. You think that was a Ron Garvin finish?
I believe he and George worked that out pretty good. Yeah. And the thing about it is, you can see that there was respect between Ronnie Garvin and George South, which it might. And you've seen Ronnie Garvin in other matches; he didn't have quite respect for those other guys, but George South he had respect for, no doubt about it.
You know, I think most of the guys over there really respected George because he, you know, usually, I mean, unless he was working somebody like Nikita, you know, who you're not going to get anything from, or shouldn't, you know, for that matter. Yeah. You know, he had good matches over there because George could go. He could go. He was good. He really should have gotten a push at some point, but you know, he's still wrestling.
Well, right after that, Rodney, Paul Jones.
This was awesome. This was awesome. Now, you know, sometimes I didn't like Paul Jones, but in this, perfect. Especially when the people were yelling at him and he looked all offended that they were yelling back at him. Did you see him? He kind of stopped. He kind of turned to the people, "You better shut up." And then he goes right back to telling this thing about Jimmy Valiant and about Dusty and about, you know, because they had later on they'll have an interview with Dusty where he's talking for Jimmy Valiant, which is awesome as well. But yeah, Paul Jones talking about the superstar Billy Graham and Abdullah and the Barbarian as he called him. And Paul Jones was absolutely perfect in this. It's like I said, when the people were yelling at him and he was all offended, they were there to interrupt him while he was trying to talk. Was awesome.
All right, then. Jack Nature Boy Ric Flair returns to scout the match, which was a great match for the NWA U.S. Heavyweight Championship match. What did you think about this match between Magnum TA and Scott Hog Irwin?
I love this match. Scott Irwin, God bless him, he was taken from us way too soon with cancer, but I thought the sky was the limit for that guy. He was so aggressive. He was so good, so smooth in that ring. And, you know, if you don't watch any other match that he's ever done before, this is a good match to show you how great he really was.
Yeah, you know what made this match, I think, so good. Magnum TA for 3 weeks in a row had been beating people for 24 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever it was. And Irwin jumps him right from the beginning. And I'm thinking this now. This is my thought process because I'd been seeing the 3 weeks. I thought, okay, he's going to jump him. He's going to do the deal. He's going to hit him in that what's the thing he calls the belly to belly suplex. And I thought, okay, this is going to be it, but it didn't. He kept on selling. And I never have liked the superplex. I just thought that was I don't know if that move could really, truly, even back then in 1980s, I didn't think that could truly happen. But the thing about it, he put him on there, and the referee got him back. And when he gave him that knee lift off to that, he came up and gave him that belly back. I thought that was a tremendous finish. What did you think, Rodney?
Shades of wrestling too, as far as I'm concerned, right into the belly to belly. I think that was purposely done for that reason. Yep. especially because they just took over the Mid-South on Sunday night. So, yeah, I thought it was absolutely perfect. And we're seeing somebody take TA to task, which shows that maybe some of the other people wasn't quite up to the quality that was necessary. But Scott Irwin was certainly quality here.
Great way to build Magnum TA for the last 3 weeks, and this week, certainly Dusty Rhodes and J.J. Dillon, they took it and they knew how to build Magnum TA. That's how you build a wrestler to get over. That's how you do it on television. Then we had Tony Schiavone interview Tully Blanchard with Baby Da. Tully says he'll go through Ron Garvey, or he'll go through Magnum TA to get to Dusty Rhodes. Good interview with Tully.
Oh, as always, and I love there was a question asked why there was two titles, the U.S. title and national title. Well, at one time they were two separate promotions. Jim Crockett Promotions had the United States Championship, and then Georgia Championship Wrestling had the National Heavyweight Championship. So eventually they will merge those two. Not yet. We're going to be probably about a year away from that, but yeah, they'll merge those two titles together eventually.
Then Tony Schiavone with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes with the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Dusty again talks about the Koloffs, talks about Magnum and Flair. I think he tells Flair they're eventually going to settle the score. They're going to settle the score. Great interview by Dusty. Did he talk about the gorilla on this interview? I don't think he did he?
No.
Because he was just getting ready to do the commentary with Tony Schiavone and them, because coming up is the NWA World Tag Team Champions Ivan and Nikita Koloff against Mike Jackson and Paul Gardner. Jack, what did you think about the match?
Poor Paul.
Poor Mike.
Well, when Mike was getting in there so much, I thought they're going to kill Paul, and they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, solid match. Mike and Paul, they were great hands in the ring, man, and knew their job, no egos. Let's go in there and do business. And they were great.
Yeah, it was a good match, and another match to get Nikita Koloff over and Ivan Koloff over to get them ready to go against Dusty Rhodes and that mystery partner, that gorilla. Because Ivan Koloff comes out there when Dusty is talking and they get into it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. What are you talking about, the gorilla? Don't be talking about him, a gorilla. It was great. Ivan was awesome in this. He was really good. He really was great.
All right, Rodney, your favorite person's up next. Thunderbolt Patterson
and Randy Barber. Ole and Orange back at the desk. And, of course, Thunderbolt ends up winning the match with the double chop, the double thrust to the throat, and that was the end. And then it's Ole and Arn on Thunderbolt. Manny Fernandez comes in, cleans house. We are ready for that match now, I think. Ole and Arn against Thunderbolt and Manny Fernandez. I think they've got that. We're beyond that. It's time for at least a one-on-one match with Thunderbolt and Arn Anderson. I think we need that real bad.
All right, then Ric Flair returns. This time I do remember the white suit. And Magnum TA was out there. Am I right? I was right. Magnum TA was out there, wasn't he? In this next interview?
Magnum came out later, didn't he? I don't think I've seen.
No, that's right. That's right.
Tony Schiavone. Davey Crockett. Tony Schiavone.
Oh, man. Anyway, Flair, they wanted to talk about Magnum TA. I do remember. He said, Flair said, no, I don't. I want to talk about who's important, and that was him.
That's right. And that's where he told TA that if he wanted to buy a suit like this, he'd have to pay him about $1,200 because he wouldn't be seen in blue jeans, is what he said.
That's what he said. And Ric Flair in the interview said he never did ever wear blue jeans until later on in life, just recently in the last couple of years. But I think I love it. He always said, I'm what's happening in professional wrestling today. And just a great interview. And then Pistol Paz Watley went against Vernon Deaton. Hadn't he wrestled against Vernon Deaton before on here? Did he wrestle against him prior?
I was thinking.
I thought it was Joel Deaton, but I might be wrong.
Well, he a flying lariat by Pistol Pez Watley and a body press, and it's over Vernon Deaton beat once again on World Championship Wrestling. Great match for Pez. Pez was just so good. There's no better than Pez. Really didn't get the push that he deserved there. I think eventually he does get turned. I think he gets managed by Paul Jones
and becomes Shaska Watley.
So, all right, Rodney. The next thing: Tony Schiavone and Jim Crockett with Jimmy Valiant.
This is David Crockett. Jim Crockett's the promoter.
Oh, that's you.
He's the promoter.
Woo!
Okay. All righty.
Gonna have to send you off on another vacation.
All right. Well, it's Jimmy. This time they're going to have to do the interview where Dusty's doing the interview from Jimmy Valiant. Dusty's very different in this interview. I don't know if you noticed. He's not joking this time. He's very, very serious. And, of course, they had talked about Bob Caudle. It was on the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Bob Caudle was the host. And they talked about they have banned that axe handle. They said that they have fined Paul Jones, Barbarian Graham, and Jimmy Valiant for use of the axe handle. Then they replayed the incident. Then Dusty did this awesome interview, very serious, talking about and then I loved in the end when Dusty said to the people, Jimmy Valiant loves you. The way that Jimmy Valiant looked almost in tears was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, he was great. He was great.
Just beautiful. And again, not scripted. None of it. Not scripted.
I thought it was good when Dusty said, we are now at war. I thought that was good. Very, very. And he said, I stand with Jimmy Valiant in this war. Great interview. Sell some tickets. If that was going to be on the card, you're going to buy a ticket to come see it. Jack, next, Cowboy Ron Bass makes his debut with J.J. Dillon against Rocky King. And did you notice they talked about the gloved hand during this?
Yep. David Crockett kept bringing up. I wonder what the new move is that they're talking about. I wonder what this new hold is. I don't know what he's talking about. And I'm thinking, well, he's got a glove on. I bet it has something to do with glove.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was, Ron always had solid matches. He wasn't the most charismatic guy, but he was so solid in that ring, you believed what he was doing.
He used the claw hold.
He used both the stampede followed by the claw hold. I noticed that he got his old finish in and then went into the claw hold.
Yeah.
Then Schiavone interviews Magnum TA. Tony Schiavone, a great, good interview for Magnum TA. Got him over. Then we end the show with superstar Billy Graham, the Barbarian, and Abdullah the Butcher with Paul Jones against Mike Samadi, Jing Ligon, and Ron Rossi. Big elbow by Abdullah the Butcher. It's over 1, 2, 3. Not a lot to speak about that.
I thought that was a tremendous sloppy slam by Billy Graham. That was fantastic.
Well, Billy Graham was not that good during this point in time, was he?
He was still trying to do the karate thing, and it wasn't him. That wasn't him. Wasn't him the first day he did it, and it wasn't him he never perfected that any time. He was not the superstar Billy Graham. He was. I'm not going to say. I'm about to get in trouble.
I never understood why you went from one of the greatest gimmicks ever to the gimmick we shall not name.
Yes, it's terrible. It wasn't Billy Graham at all.
All right, folks, that's our review of World Championship Wrestling from Saturday, April 27th, 1985, Asino WTBS 605 to 805. Our next episode, we will look at whatever that next Saturday is. I did not write it down.
It's May. It's in May. I will tell you that.
It is May, so we'll look at the next episode with that whatever that date is, the next Saturday. So you can do whatever that next Saturday is.
May 4th.
May 4th, 1985.
Yeah.
And a quick little add-on, Ben Alexander was the Golden Terror.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Ben Alexander. Yes, I know him very well.
Google is my friend.
Hey, folks, if you're watching.
Now, some of our insiders say it's different.
Who are they saying? Because I'll fight.
Wait a second. Let's see. They were saying that the Golden Terror was. I'll have to scan way back because that was previous. Bob Merrill is what Victor Nash was saying.
Well, folks, if you have enjoyed this episode, give us that big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like and share. All right, it is time now to go to the insiders and see what they've got to say.
They've got some good stuff.
Let's go see what they've got to say. Richard Hood, hello to you, Richard. Thank you so much. Greg Hickey, I love Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Thank you so much. We certainly do appreciate it. Michael Barr, hello, Brett, Jack, and Rodney. How are you doing? We are doing good. Mickey Mayfield. So Garvin was national champion, a Magnum U.S. champ. I think, Rodney, you answered that question for Mickey.
Yeah, it was basically national champion was for World Championship Wrestling, the Ole Georgia Championship Wrestling, and the United States title was always Mid-Atlantic.
Theodore is with us. Turbo Ted. Good evening, guys. Well, good evening to you. Mike Schaefer said WCW is always better than WWF. The WWF was a cartoon act. There was some parts of WWF at that time I did enjoy. Some I didn't, like the marriage of Maurice Vachon. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing about it, WCW was always the better matches. I always thought. But as far as hyping big events, Vince did a good job of hyping the events.
Oh, yeah.
He said, Christopher Hughes said, evening, guys, I'm with you. My Atlanta Braves are playing in the NLCS tonight, so I'll switch back and forth to check the score. Thank you so much, Christopher. Michael Barr said, why am I always the last to know these things? I could have gotten this in stereo.
In stereo, you're right. If you only have the stereo. It's only available. It may not be available where you're at, though.
That's true. Chief Inspector Clouseau, hello, guys. You bring back memories of the good old days of wrestling. That's what we're here for. Charles Bellflower said J&J Center here.
Hey, the good old J&J Center, Athens, Georgia.
I don't think I want to see him wrestle either. Well, probably better than my first match.
Talking about David Crockett? No, I want to see that. I want to see that. Flair never came off the top rope. No, he was more slammed off the top rope. You're right, Kevin.
Mike Schaefer, Ron Garvin, Plan B. Yeah, I think he probably, the moment he did that, he probably thought, oh, what did I just do?
And the thing about it is he would have probably been way, way bigger because he had to start all over again.
Yeah. James William Lawrence III, hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. That's all right. Jack will write you down for the $50 fine as everyone gets.
I found a deal on cigars today. I need the money.
How you doing, Ann McGowan?
Hey.
You tell Scrappy hello. And,
we were talking about Scrappy last week. He was on there on World Championship Wrestling.
Michael Barr said Ole and Arn were two tough wrestlers in their day. Greg Hickey, a Thunderbolt, baby, I'm full.
That's right.
Christopher Hughes said Ronnie was stiff.
Only when he was in the ring.
I love those chops.
Richard Hood's going to tell everybody, he's going to go ahead and let you know, guys, the gorilla was Dick Slater. So, but they'd already stooged that off anyway because they kept on saying Dick Slater was going to be in the towns.
No, well, okay. That's right. They would say because Tony Schiavone would run down the towns. That's right.
Yeah, they already stooged that one off. Michelle, how you say, Koch, maybe? Good evening. Have not watched in a while. Well, thank you so much for watching once again. We do appreciate it. Michael Barr, there is a gorilla in the house. Greg Hickey, boring too. What was boring? Is it us?
Wait a minute. No, I think it was the announcer.
Oh, okay. Let's make sure we're not the ones boring.
Yeah.
We try not to be boring there, Greg. I know. Maybe not always get the names right.
No, that's one we cannot talk about. The Manny Fernandez.
Yeah, we're not even.
We are not doing that.
We're not even going that route. Jeffrey.
Ventura paid the price for that right there.
That's right, he did. Jeffrey said Doug Vines was one half of the Devil's Disciples with Jeff Sword in Ode ICW, managed by the late Easy Slapowitz.
Hey, Easy Slapowitz.
I don't think I ever watched the ICW. I don't know if I ever watched any of those shows. Jordan back with us. How you doing, Jordan?
Hey, Jordan.
Good to see you back on here with us. Michael Barr said those double chops look a lot like today's moves, only better.
Yeah, those double chops made contact. The other ones kind of didn't.
Yeah, that's right. Ron Gardner was a solid worker, but him and some other guys back in '79 tried to destroy the business. Yes, and unfortunately, he'll probably be remembered for that. During his whole career, that's what people remember him of. If you can watch George Goulas wrestle, you can watch Davey Crockett. See, I could be nice, Brett.
We have a picture that Mike Mooneyham posted. We got to show that. We got to show that picture with Mike Mooney.
David was the George Goulas of announcing. People are cruel.
I think a lot of what, and as I go back and watch it, I think a lot of it was frustration that things were not going as he thought it should. So It was kind of frustrating. I don't know if he was frustrated at Tony or about the match in general. I think a lot of what we're seeing is frustration on his part of what's going on.
Mickey Mayfield said Bob, Roop, and the Crusher would have been an awesome team. Christopher said, but the AWA belt looked like Vern got it at Goodwill.
Actually, it was made in prison, if I'm not mistaken. Some prisoners made it and sent it to Vern and as a gift, and he used it as the world title.
Wow, that's a great story. There's old Pat Rose.
Hey, Pat Rose.
Pat Rose, good to see you on here. I'm pretty sure we're going to run into some matches with Pat Rose on World Championship Wrestling coming up soon. Michael Bob Merrill wrestled as the Golden Terror.
Not at that time. I just looked it up again. During 1985, it was Ben Alexander. Bob Merrill came later.
Greg Hickey said Nikita was jacked. Now he's saying it was Bob Merrill as well. Michael Barr, early 80s, with some great wrestling. Yes.
Did Bill Alexander, for whatever reason, I was thinking he had something to do with the wrestling bear. Did he?
I don't remember that he did.
I was thinking he might have had a problem. He had not a problem, but he had a wrestling bear or something.
Pat Rose, George South was great.
Yeah.
Yes, he was, Pat. And there's no doubt. There was no better wrestler. You mentioned Bob Armstrong wrestled at that time. Who did he wrestle against? Well, it was Ric Flair had just talked about him. Now, I don't know. He might have been there at that time. I'm not for sure.
Was he there, or was maybe he going to Continental at the time?
Yeah, that was 85, so it would have been still working for Continental.
Kevin Pendley say Ray Traylor was boss man. Bubba, what name he wrestled under in the old GCW days? I don't think he wrestled for Georgia Championship Wrestling, did he?
No, he did.
I think he started as Big Bubba Rogers.
Yep.
And as Jim Cornette's bodyguard. So.
I worked with him on his first match in Guntersville, Alabama, and 3 months later he was on TV as Big Bubba.
Leonard Gross said, I am going to start calling Big Jack Huff and Puff. Each time I look up, smoke is going across my screen.
That's your screen's on fire.
All right. Chris told a little story. We'll go past the story about him urinating himself. We'll go past Chris did say he agreed with Jack Lord. Michael Barr, who commentated for the NWA at the time?
Tony Schiavone and David Crockett.
Yes.
And also Bob Cottle did also sometimes as well.
And maybe Davey Crockett, the king of the Wild Frontier, also might have been one of those.
Fess Parker, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Fess Parker. George South was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. George could work. He worked. We know he was better than half the guys over on the card. There, I just put George over. Yes, he was.
Yep.
Let's see. Pat Rose said, I was in love with Baby Doll. Kansas.
We all were, unless you weren't into the women. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm telling you, Baby Doll was something.
Glenn Shelton, howdy NWA. When champs wore suits.
Looked like champions.
Right. That's right.
Pats was a solid, great worker. Yes. Pat Rose want to know what I've been drinking. Nothing, Pat. I'd like to think that I had been drinking something, but no, I've just, I believe I'm getting forgetful.
You got Davey Rich and David Crockett mixed up.
I don't know. I think it's just Davey Crockett. I just think I'm Davey Crockett, the king of the wild frontier. I think that's just all I'm thinking about. I must have watched that at some point, and that's all I can think about. I can't even say David Crockett. So, or maybe I don't want to say David Crockett. I'm not for sure which one. Now, don't ever wear gear. Yeah, most wrestlers don't wear gear these days.
Right.
Boy, that's an argument.
It is. Victor Nash said one of the best things of age wrestling was the bloody scenes. You rarely see that nowadays. That's not going to happen these days, I don't think. Rick Brooks said, the GCW roster is loaded with talent when it's Buzz Sawyer versus Paul Orndorff in the first match on the card. This is true. Flair's blonde hair was always bloody red. Yes, he always said that was money. Somebody said he should have stayed in the Carolinas, not TBS.
Well, I'll just honest with you. If Jimmy Crockett did not come to Georgia TBS, it would have been Vince McMahon still there.
Yeah.
Yep.
With nobody at that time to step in, I don't think Bill Watts would have been able to step in. But I think Jim Crockett at the time was the only one that had the talent and the resources to go in and properly do that. And run his own territory.
Chris Vick said, "We're talking old school. Could WWF interview did something more with the Barbarian? I think WWF did better with the Barbarian than NWA did."
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I think the Powers of Pain was great. Barbarian and the Warlord. I thought that turned out really nice.
Greg, by the way, Chris, what in the world you got on right there, bud? What's he got on?
I don't know.
I'll just smoke my cigar and not comment.
Greg Hickey, Ron Bass was a power lifter. Kevin, Billy Graham went from Billy Graham to Ron Slinker.
I wasn't going to say that, Kevin, but you said it, and there we go. I was about to go there. You're right. And
poor old Ron Slinker.
Yeah, well, I don't want to have to make an apology again.
Soon after this, Valiant lent his big mama to Dusty to deal with Tully and Baby Doll. Jeffrey said, "Thanks for the homework." Yes, we gave you homework to watch the show from. So I'm glad you did watch that. Richard Hood said, "I agree, guys. That was a horrible gimmick for Billy Graham." Thumbs up, Michael Barr. Another great show. Chris Vick said, "I love the show." Let's see. Glenn said, "Jack, you was at both NWA shows in 01-04 Nashville."
Yep.
Let's see. Daniel Lang said, "Jack was the same AWA belt Stan Hansen rode over with his truck before it was mailed back."
I believe it was. Yep.
That's just wrong. I'm gonna tell you. Glenn said,
"Well, I know the story, so I really don't blame Stan."
Thought he was in and out Alabama. I think he's talking about Bob Armstrong. I think he was. Right. I think he might have been working for both. Who had the best drop kick you ever seen? I think is Brad Armstrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Victor Nash said, "I love the way Big Bubba didn't catch Jim Crockett from Jim Crockett." I think Jim Cornette's who he's talking about.
He says he catches.
You must be drinking with me there, Pat.
Pineapple juice, guys. Pineapples. It'll clear your brain cells.
It was Jim Cornette. Yeah, I just don't think Big Bubba was going to catch him. I think he said, "Yo, yeah, I'll get him. I don't think he was going to catch him."
Oh.
Michelle said, "Age is creeping up on you." Yes, I think you're right there, Michelle. Thank you so much for allowing me and telling me that was creeping up on me. I appreciate that.
I have to point that out.
Yeah, that was nice of you. Chris Vick said he had a Bengals jacket on. That's what he's got on.
That's Bengals. Right. That's Bengals.
What did I call it?
Bagels.
Oh, never mind. See, I can't get nothing out of that.
Bagel is a kind of like a dog.
Bengals, bagels, kind of the same thing.
Cincinnati Bengals jacket. There we go.
I got you. And then we'll go to Stuart Kemp said, as always, a great show, remembering the history. All right, guys, before we leave, any last comments about this episode of World Championship Wrestling?
No, I'm enjoying this series that we're doing right now. These are some of the best episodes of wrestling that you're going to find anywhere out there. So, look up the next episode. We'll be posting it online. Watch it and we'll review it.
That's right. Rodney, closing comment?
Hughes says the Kevin Sullivan Billy Graham program wasn't that bad, but I was 7-2. So, I mean, he was 12-2, but so, I say that it was Kevin Sullivan messed that whole deal up. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, folks, so we've already said it once, but we can say it again. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching on Facebook, like and share the page and let people know about what we're doing here on Pro Wrestling Inside Now. For Jack Lord and Rodney West, I am Brett West, and we'll see you on the next episode of Pro Wrestling Inside Now Live.